What's up, everybody? This is Post-Production Pie with SRLounge.com. Welcome to another episode of Constructive Critique. Now, we've taken a little hiatus on the Constructive Critique because we're doing a lot of work on SRLounge.com, on the overall website and everything. But I wanted to make sure that we got on here this week, and we're going to change things up. We're going to be adding prizes to the Constructive Critique. So each week, as we go through and we provide critique, we'll select one image, and that will be our weekly winner, and you will get a nice little prize. All right, so let's get started. The Constructive Critique can be found by going to srlounge.com, clicking on this forum link right here, which takes you to this page, and then you click into Constructive Critique, which takes you right here. Now, once you get here, be sure to read our sticky on Constructive Critique rules before participating, just so we all participate in a nice way. All right, so let's jump into our first image. This is from Gate City Kid. This is called Skater Life, shot on a Sony A200 f-stop 5.6, 1/60th of a second at 40 millimeters. Now, looking at this shot, I think it's a great shot. I like the processing, kind of everything about it. There's a few things that I would critique. Number one is basically the competition, and this is really the big thing in this image, is that we have a lot of kind of competition for the main subject in this image. And I see three things competing for that. Number one is his face with his eyes, because we have, well, a face is automatically going to draw attention. But two, because of size and placement, we also have this skateboard, which is kind of the biggest object in the frame. And number three is actually his arm, which based on the camera angle is also very large in frame. So his arm is almost kind of competing with his head, and the skateboard kind of dominates everything. Now, one thing on the composition is I would definitely make sure that you don't crop at joints, like on his little corner of his elbow. But overall, this image can really be strengthened if you're trying to show skater life, is to show it in a way where you have a strong focus on the subject. Right now, we kind of have this arm, we have the skateboard, and we have the face. And because of placement and size of these objects, we don't have a single strong subject in the image. So I think that would help out a lot. Are you trying to show kind of more the skater in the environment with his skateboard present, or are you trying to show the skateboard, or are you trying to show the skater actually doing what it is that he does? And if you're doing that, then it'd obviously be more of a action shot as opposed to a portrait like this one. But that's kind of the main critique on that side. Now, for post-production, this kind of age toning isn't an effect that I would typically go with, but you know, this is again a preferential thing as opposed to it's, well, more subjective on that side. All right, so great job, good submission. Let's go on to the next image. This is from FLM Photografia, A Couple in the Woods. Let's see if we have info. We don't have any info on how it's shot, but I really dig this overall image, and I love the aspect ratio. You know, I always tell people our monitors are, you know, basically every place that we're viewing images these days is all widescreen. So unless you have a strong reason of shooting portrait format, unless it's basically aiding in the composition, don't shoot portrait format because it doesn't fit the presentational devices, i.e. we get a nicer presentation when we shoot wide and we display it on a wide screen because it fits from edge to edge. Now, that being said, this is the exact situation that I would shoot portrait because it really lends a lot to the overall composition, being able to see the trees and being able to see them kind of grow and see how tall they are in comparison to our subjects. Now, this environmental portrait is great, and the only thing I would really critique is the positioning of the couple here. Now, what we have is we have this couple that's kind of facing the edge of the frame. What I would generally do is if they're facing the edge of the frame, you want to leave that side of the frame as being open. Now, for this particular shot, I don't have any problem with the way that they're composed in the shot. I think it's great being on the left 1/3. But what I would have done is turned the girl and kind of had the boy face into each other. So she's facing more towards the right into this side of the frame. He's facing towards her, and they're interacting with each other. That way we can see their faces a little more clearly, and they're not looking towards the edge of the frame. But otherwise, this is a great shot. I like the processing. I like the look, everything. So keep it up. Really nice image. Let's go on to J&D Photography's recent headshot session, and they said, or she said she's trying to, sorry, he or she, I'm not sure, but trying to channel Peter Hurley Hit or Miss. And I would recommend that you just throw in the link. You can also put the Flickr link in here, but embed the image so we can see it here. But here is the image, just pulled up on Flickr, and it's a really nice expression. I dig the shot. As far as lighting goes, we kind of, we haven't quite gotten the Peter Hurley style with this specific shot. Peter Hurley is definitely more flat and non-directional because it's coming straight basically around the camera. So as Peter's shooting through his square light setup, the light is coming around, and so you have this very flat light that falls off on each side of the face. He also generally won't use this harsh of, say, like a rim or edge light on these sides. But that being said, it's still a great headshot. There's nothing wrong with this as a headshot. I wouldn't really say it's too close to the Peter Hurley style, other than you did a good job with the pose and everything. I do think the way that the head is tilted is a little bit, it kind of takes me out of frame a little bit. I might have tilted her head the other way or just see which way would work better. The other thing too is that we're shooting really open on her face right now, so we're showing a lot of skin. Now because of that, her face is naturally just going to look a little bit wider than it normally would. So oftentimes with these kind of portraits, especially when we're shooting this close up, Peter and other very big headshot photographers do this as well, but we use part of I'm not a headshot photographer, by the way, but when I shoot, we're using the hair to kind of section off parts of the face, so that way we can make the face look a little bit more flattering. But who knows? If this is for an actual headshot for an actor, then I don't know, maybe the casting agent will want to see exactly what the full round face would look like, but I think it'd be a little bit more flattering if we just covered up a little bit, especially on the left side with the ear and everything like that. All right, so great job, nice job on the post. The last thing I would just mention in passing is that the background, because it's not quite uniform, does draw a little bit of attention. So we have spotted lines over here, we have a full line here, we have kind of weird dust marks. It's not really dust marks, it's more like the bokeh is kind of creating that look. So it does draw a bit of attention away from our subject, but that's it. All right, so great job, and let's go on to our next image, which is from Andrian Fraser. This is concert photography, shot it last Friday. Let's see, it's been a long time since he did this, but it was fun. I don't think we have anything on the settings. Let's take a look at the image. Now, I like the watermark, by the way. It's nice, it's in the corner, it's not in your face, it's great. Overall, the shot is really cool. We have these lights coming in, which you can see from the background. It adds a lot to the overall scene, being able to see these kind of lines from the lighting coming in and lighting him up. We also can see his full pose. The only thing that, again, it kind of goes back to the overall composition, the framing, is that he's once again looking towards the close edge of the frame. Because he's looking towards that close edge of the frame, it kind of draws our attention out of the image once again. So we can fix that by, if you still want to show the lights in the shot, just shoot it wider. And we'd also be adding a lot of context to the image, because right now we wouldn't really know if this is a rehearsal versus a live performance because we don't see a crowd in the shot. All right, so shooting wider would kind of allow us visually to see exactly who he's performing for. It would allow us not to be led to the edge of the frame by the way he's looking. The other thing you can do is you could pull the frame over to the left side and frame him along the right side, but then you wouldn't necessarily get the nice kind of stage presence and all the lighting and stuff like that. So that's really an option that you need to make, but I would say show us a little bit more so we can get an idea of the context of this photo. All right, great job, and I dig the processing, by the way. I like that black and white look on this image. Let's go on to this one. This is from Buddy. It's View of Lion. Lion? Sounds like Zion. It's probably Lion. Either way, it's in France. I'm not even going to say any of these other names because I'm going to slaughter it. So it was shot on a Nikon D5100. It was on a 24 to 120mm lens at 110, ISO 200, f4.5, 1/320th of a shutter speed. Now this shot is really cool. I dig the kind of pondering vibe, or kind of this contemplative vibe of this shot, with this girl just standing on a hill overlooking this massive city. Now, as far as the composition goes, I think we might be a little bit better off had we framed her on one of the third lines, just to add a little bit more visual weight to the city. We could see the city kind of in more prominence. And this was most likely a candid image, and so you can't really pose her. But if you did have the option to pose, shooting a slight bit from the side and being able to show the profile of her face as she's looking out towards the city, I think would add a lot to the overall story. I dig the overall production as far as the coloring and everything. I think it looks really cool with this kind of moody, more cool vibe to the image. And I probably would have even gone a step further, maybe made it a little bit cooler, added some blues, maybe faded out a little bit, had this really kind of winter-esque feel to the overall image. But I dig this shot and I dig where you're going with it. So great job, Buddy, with that one. Let's go on to Winter in Sweden by Andreas Christensen. Now, this was in Sweden, actually, in February. The sun has begun melting the ice on the water. Did some editing in Lightroom and Photoshop. This was shot at ISO 100, f9, 1/80th of a second. We don't know what camera was on, but that's all right. I think it might show it on Flickr if the metadata was uploaded. But I dig this overall shot. I think there's a couple things that I would say. Number one is that I feel like the image has had a heavy amount of manipulation, and it's not because of the coloring of the sky. I think the coloring of the sky is a really cool effect, but the reason why I can tell that is because we have yellow coloring in the sky, yellow coloring in the water, but all over where we see these trees and the snow, we don't really have that same yellow effect. Now, if this yellow was actually being created by the sky, then everything in the image would have been affected naturally that way as well. And so because of that, I kind of get this feeling like this was done in post. So I would say if you go with a scheme like this, a color scheme like this, make sure that you replicate it in the same way that the lighting would actually affect the scene. Otherwise, it creates this disconnect as if the viewer is going to feel like it's not quite, it doesn't quite all fit together. Okay, so other than that, everything else is really quite nice. I might have chose a little bit better of not a better, but kind of the overall composition doesn't really give us anything in this foreground. I mean, we see this this reflection and stuff, but we have the horizon framed right across the center almost. And so I would have either chosen a different angle where we can see more of that melting ice down on the ground, or shot up more where we can see more of the sky and see the reflection towards the bottom of the frame. That's just an idea. Hopefully this helps out. All right, great job, Andreas. Let's go on to the next image. This image is from our awesome Chris Holtmere, and it's titled It's Finally Feeling Like Spring. Now, I dig this shot. I love, Chris, your lighting is always really, really nice. And the only thing I would really critique in this shot, the only thing that makes it a bit kind of off is just the overall composition. Once again, we have that same thing where we're shooting with the subject leading our eye towards the close edge of the frame as opposed to towards the big or the open side of the frame. Okay, so just pull that frame over, put her on the right side and frame it so that we can see her. She's playing and kind of looking towards the open side of the frame. We will see more of the shadow, and I think it would just add a lot of more playfulness to the image, as you'd be able to see, well, we'd be more focused on what she's playing with because she's not at the edge of the frame. But that's really it. The lighting is great. I love the rim light on the backside cast by the sun, it looks like, and then you have either a reflector or a strobe. Knowing from your past stuff, I would say is probably a strobe with a white umbrella modifier, and the light looks really great. I like the post-production too. It has a very light and airy feel, and that's really the only change I would make to it. The other thing might be just to have a little bit more context as to what she's playing with. I'm not sure if she's playing with the dirt or what she's fascinated by, if it's the shadow, if it's the little pebbles. I'm not quite sure as far as that goes, but that's just another thing. All right, so great job. Let's go on to our next image. This is Barren Tundra by Dretket. Now, I absolutely dig this image. I love it. It's from the color to the composition to everything. It really works for me. It shows this barren tundra. It looks icy cold with the exception of this nice little spot of warmth coming through from the sun. And I dig that vibe. It kind of adds a little bit of warmth to this image, not in a literal sense as far as like temperature in Lightroom, but it adds a sense of warmth to the image, like the sun is kind of just trying to add some warmth and light to this overall just very kind of dark and cold scene. So I really dig it. It's a cool shot. The one thing I might do on this is just Photoshop out this little speck on the horizon. It's probably a tower or something, but since we can't really see it and it doesn't provide much for the image, I would kind of get rid of that guy. It'd be easy to clone out. The same thing over here. Just smooth out the horizon a little bit so it looks very flat. There's nothing kind of drawing the eye. But this would look great as a really nice big canvas, so good job. All right, let's go over here to Buddy's Bikes. All right, this was taken in line. Did we already do one of Buddy's? Let's see. Oh yeah, that was from Buddy too. Buddy, look at that. You got two of them, Buddy. All right, I say Buddy a lot anyway to people, so it's kind of weird. Buddy. Okay. This photo was taken in Lion, and it's from a Nikon D5100. It's his same camera on a 24-120 at 44 millimeters, ISO 800, f4, 1/62 shutter speed. Now, I love shots like this. Why? Because they automatically add interest due to this repetition. We have the same object being repeated over and over going down this row. It's just a shot that has a lot of visual interest to it because of the repetition and the leading lines, and we also have a nice bit of red color which really draws our eyes in. Now, as far as improving on the shot, there's really not all that much that I would do to it. I might take an angle where I can shoot where essentially the front bike is going to lead me all the way to the edge of the frame, and we're really not shooting much of the cobblestone basically, because that's really not a huge area of interest, but right now it draws almost half the visual weight in this scene. So I would have just kind of framed it more close to the bikes, shooting with the entire row going all the way to the outside edge of the frame. So that's what we're focused on the entire time. But overall, it's a cool shot. Glad you couldn't resist. I wouldn't be able to resist myself either. All right, let's go on to our next one, and this is our winner for the week. So 979, you won a $50 gift certificate to the SR Lounge store. Congratulations, because this is an awesome photo. Now with these winners, we're not looking for perfection, guys, okay? So we're still expecting with these constructed critique submissions that you're looking to get critiques. You're not looking to just win something. So there's obviously some things that I would probably fix in this image, but overall it's a great image. All right, now a couple things that I might work on is this image has a very natural, just gritty vibe to it. I mean, we have these gas masks on, which kind of, I don't know, it has this either terrorist or anti-terrorist vibe going on to it. A very serious kind of dramatic look to the image. I don't know what's going on, but I know this guy, he means business. And that, you know that also because he's got this cap on. So maybe he's gonna rob a store or something and use gas to knock everybody out. Who knows? But the only thing I would kind of change in this, I wouldn't really tweak the skin, because in this kind of a gritty image, you're not looking to have good skin tone. It's not a fashion shot. We don't need to clean up his, pores and stuff like that. I might lighten this darker area underneath the eyes, but again, that kind of adds to the overall drama in the scene. We want to have that gritty feel. So while I might lighten up a bit, I wouldn't go too far that it starts to feel like it kills the drama in the photo. The one thing that I might do on this image is just this catch light is kind of puzzling to me. It almost looks like a hair coming off his eyebrow and going off to that side, and then on this side, same thing. So I might either remove the catch light or enhance it so I can tell what it is basically. And more than likely in this image, I wouldn't enhance a catch light because again, it's going to remove from the drama. So I'd probably just Photoshop it out, because those two lines make me kind of wonder if it's I know it's probably just from your modifiers, but just as a viewer, I wonder if it's like a piece of hair or something coming down from his eyebrow. Maybe he's got super bushy eyebrows like me. But either way, I'd probably just clone that out. Everything else is great in this shot. I really dig it. If this was part of a whole series, it'd be really cool. We could see like what this dude is about, because I want more of this story. So great job at 979. Be sure to shoot us an email at contact@SRLounge to redeem your gift certificate. And we will see you all in the next Constructed Critique episode.